Are you spending too much time at your desk and not enough time on your operations floor? If so, you're probably missing out on opportunities for improvement, reducing employee morale, and just missing what's happening in your operation overall. In this edition of DC 101, we're going to talk about the importance of being present within your operation and the impact it can have on the overall process from a senior leader perspective and a frontline supervisor perspective. So watch this video, get away from your desk, and get on the floor. This is DC 101.
Let's start with what it means. So being present in your operation literally just means that. It is, I have to be out on the floor and watching and talking to people and seeing what's going on to really get a sense of how we're performing. Too often we see people try to manage through reports and screens versus going to the floor to see what's actually happening. And it's usually pretty enlightening for a leader who's not spent much time in their operation to actually go watch what happens. They learn a lot sometimes. So the first one is really about what actually happens in their operation. There's usually a perception by the operations team about how a process is being performed. And when they go watch the operation, they find that perception to not be reality, that people are doing other things, that they're not as consistent in how things are being done as they thought they were. That's probably the number one learning. The other thing that we often see is people being surprised about the frequency of when people are actually working or not. If we don't spend a lot of time and engage with employees often kind of forget that their primary job is to complete a task. And we see things like, excessive time around order starts and stops and, a little more indirect time here and there than they should have, as a result of there's just nobody out there to question what's going on. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is better, right? That it's about, as a leadership team, how do you engage with the employee base and how do you talk to them? And the more you're engaged with them, the better they know you and the more accepting they are of you as well. Therefore, the better leader you become for them. The organizations where the leadership team is actively engaged on the floor and talking to people and seeing what's going on are generally, again, better run facilities, right? Their output is stronger than those that don't do that. So for me, when I was back running DCs, it started with this. It's blocking time, first of all. I have to have the time to go do it, and I have to have some varied time. It shouldn't be the same time every day, but I would literally block a different hour every day to go walk the floor. And during that time, I'm going to go focus on specific areas. So I'm going to cycle through the building over the course of a week. I'm going to go walk the inbound dock today and talk to those folks. And the next day I'm in the warehousing area talking to forklift drivers. And finally I'm in picking the next day. And it's really, how do you create structure so you create a wide range of visibility, see the entire operation over time, because your goal is to build relationships with everybody and ultimately see the entire operation as well. A couple of ways. One thing that I used to do was, my first stop on any facility walk was I actually walked the leadership team's office area and trying to understand why people weren't on the floor. Understanding that our leadership team's primary role was to lead and drive our operations. If they're in their office, they're likely not doing that. So I need to understand why. Just the fact of me walking through the office area and asking people why they're in their office motivates people to go out to the floor more often. That's one way. Another thing to do, again, as that senior leader in the building, walking around, and as I saw things, I would literally then just call my direct report and say, hey, I'm in this aisle and I see this. You need to address it. I would never address anything directly myself unless it were a safety incident, of course. But anything that I saw, I used the chain of command to push them to go see the same things that I was seeing and to fix them for us. So it starts with, how do you plan your day ultimately, right? We all have obligations from an administrative, timekeeping, whatever perspective, right? And understanding when are the most opportune times to do that throughout the course of a day. As a frontline leader, I know there are a couple of times throughout the day that I have to be present in my operation. And it's usually start of shifts, around breaks and lunches, any transition time where I'm creating the opportunity for things to not go the way I expected them to. So I need to plan my day around those activities first and foremost. Then at those periods, how am I out there and visible to my employee base so they see that I'm engaged and understand that, hey, this is a good time to catch me if they have something to talk to me about. Or I can also help guide them to make better decisions on, I went to break and too early or came back too late. Those kind of things. Those are great opportunities for a frontline supervisor to be present in the operation and actually have a meaningful impact as well.
For more information on how to get your operations to suck less, check out the Breckham Group.